The top stories tonight in Y News. Heavy rains due to Tropical Storm Paeng continues to cause massive and unusual floods in several parts of Visayas and Mindanao. This long holiday, some trips have been canceled due to Tropical Storm Paeng. The Philippines officially drops its COVID-19 face mask rule today. And Russian President Vladimir Putin accused Western leaders of provoking war and nuclear tensions. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Friday, October 28, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am Hardy Delgado. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. First in the news. State disaster management officials stated on Friday that Tropical Storm Paeng dumped a lot of rain, causing serious floods and landslides in certain areas of the country. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, reported that as of 8 a.m. today, that 138 places were flooded and that 10 rain-induced landslides had occurred in the Bicol region, Western Visayas, and Eastern Visayas. According to BARM Interior and Local Government Minister Naguib Sinarimbo, at least 31 persons died in Maguindanao del Norte as a result of flash floods and landslides. He added these numbers may rise given that the storm is said to have washed out a settlement in Datu Odin, Sinsuat. Out of the 5,266 people affected by the storm, the NDRRMC reported that 3,348 people were housed in evacuation facilities. As of 8 a.m. today, the Philippine Coast Guard reported that the moderate to rough sea conditions brought on by Paeng left some 1,938 passengers, drivers, and freight workers stranded in several ports in Bicol, southern Tagalog, and southern Visayas. The public is advised to continue monitoring the weather forecast as well as the status of their trips with their shipping providers in case of suspensions. Tropical Storm Paeng continues to intensify as it approaches the country. State Weather Bureau Pagasa says as of 5 p.m., the center of Paeng was spotted 180 kilometers east of Catarman, northern Samar, moving west-northwestward at 25 kilometers per hour. It has maximum sustained winds of 85 kilometers per hour near the center and gusts of up to 105 kilometers per hour. Expect heavy to intense with at times torrential rains over Bicol region and eastern Visayas until tomorrow early morning. Tropical cyclone wind signal number 2 is raised over Catanduanes, Albay, Sorsogon, Masbate, including Ticao Island and Burias Islands, Camarines Sur, Camarines Norte, Marinduque, Quezon, including Polillo Islands, the southern portion of Aurora, the southeastern portion of Nueva Ecija, Laguna, Batangas, Cavite, Metro Manila, Rizal, Bulacan, the eastern portion of Pampanga, the northern and central portions of Oriental Mindoro, and Romblon. Also in northern Samar, eastern Samar, Biliran, and the northern portion of Leyte. Meanwhile, signal number 1 is placed over Nueva Vizcaya, Quirino, the central and southern portions of Isabela, Ifugao, Benguet, Mountain Province, the southern portion of Ilocos Sur, La Union, Bataan, Tarlac, Zambales, Pangasinan, the rest of Aurora, the rest of Pampanga, Occidental Mindoro, including Lubang Islands, the rest of Oriental Mindoro, Calamian Islands, Cuyo Islands, and the rest of Nueva Ecija. In Visayas, signal number 1 is also up in southern Leyte, Cebu, including Bantayan and Camotes Islands, Bohol, Negros Occidental, Negros Oriental, Guimaras, Aklan, Antique, Capiz, Iloilo, Siquijor, and the rest of Leyte. Also in Mindanao, namely Dinagat Islands, Surigao del Norte, including Siargao and Bucas Grande Islands, the northern portion of Surigao del Sur, Agusan del Norte, the northeastern portion of Agusan del Sur, Camiguin, and the eastern portion of Misamis Oriental. The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, has assured the government has enough funds to deal with disasters and tragedies despite the threat of another tropical storm hitting the nation over the weekend. DSWD Undersecretary Eduardo Punay stated that the agency still has 1.4 billion pesos available, including 450 million pesos in standby money. Punay said the DSWD has prepared more than 500,000 family food packs and other relief goods for the areas to be affected by Tropical Storm Paeng. The official added humanitarian assistance have been distributed to earthquake victims in Abra. The Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange canceled some of its routes due to Tropical Storm Paeng. Meanwhile, operations in Araneta City Busport will still continue even this long holiday. Janice and Henta will tell us why.
Some passengers in Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange or PITX are now stranded following the cancellation of some trips due to bad weather condition. In an advisory on its official social media page, PITX said routes going to Rojas Oriental Mindoro, Iloilo City, Maasin City Southern Leyte, Ormoc City Leyte, Davao City, Bagamano Catanduanes, and San Jose Occidental Mindoro were canceled today until further notice. Due to this, stranded passengers decided to stay inside the terminal and chose to wait until the terminal resumes their normal operation.
Walang araw kahit may bagyo sa Mindoro ngayon. Kaya para safe, maghintay na lang kung may darating, maghintay na lang. Kaya sabi nila hanggang linggo kung sakali. Pero baka doon sa bukas, meron na 7 ng maga.
Siyempre ako nagkahapon na makauwi. Ang problema ko ngayon, sabi nila, nabalitaan ko, yung bagyo daw, signal lang daw ito yung Bicol at saka Masbate, Samar. Yun ang problema ko ngayon. Kung pagdating ko doon sa Piudoran, kung paano ako makasakay ng barko, yan ang problema ko, kung paano ako makauwi. Pero kung mas nadid ako, ma'am, ko yung ticket, ibabalik ko sa kanila, tapos uuwi ako ng Valenzuela.
PITX management said they are closely monitoring the weather situation and are in close coordination with the Office of Civil Defense and Philippine Coast Guard on its travel advisories. Over 150,000 influx of passengers are expected to arrive in PITX this long holiday. Meanwhile, Araneta City Busport assured that they have enough buses to cater more passengers and their operation will continue during holidays.
Wala pong problema sa mga buses. What we hope and expect are the volume of passengers. We can accommodate passengers at any time hanggang sa Undas talaga. So no problem.
Tuloy-tuloy naman po ang biyahe namin, araw-araw yun, oras-oras.
Wala kayong holiday?
Wala po. Wala pong holiday. Wala pong bumiyahe.
Meron pong holiday pero yung operation po namin, dire-diretso lang po para matugunan po yung magiging serbisyo po namin sa tao.
Araneta City Bus Station has recorded around 1,200 passengers daily and expected that the figure will be doubled during peak season. Janice and Hente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Thousands of passengers lined up at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport as they make their way for the long weekend. The terminal's management expects continuous influx of passengers until Saturday. This report will tell us why. Despite the inclement weather, passengers started to flock to NAIA Terminal 3 today ahead of the long weekend. NAIA Terminal 3 officer in charge Lauro Francisco says the terminal has reached the peak of passengers for today at 25,000, noting that it is higher compared to the same period pre-pandemic.
Actually, it is a normal. From the previous pre-pandemic, mas marami nagta-travel ngayon. I-expect namin yung kanina madaling araw and madaling araw, Saturday. And Sunday, pautina siya. Usually, Friday and Saturday morning.
One of those who chose to travel early is 42-year-old Fortune Paral, who is bound for Iloilo together with his cousin and workmates.
2 years na rin kami din nakabisita sa mga nicho ng family namin. So maganda naman kasi nakakuha kami ng ticket na mas mura. Prior to the departure, so we book early flights. So it is the best time to go home.
However, several passengers were affected by cancellation of flights due to the effects of Tropical Storm Paeng. Several Cebgo flights were cancelled, including those that are bound for Masbate, Naga, Surigao, and Del Carmen, while another 10 Cebu Pacific flights were also cancelled. Some affected passengers queued at the airline's office to either rebook or refund.
Nag-check-in ako mga 11. Tapos pagpunta ko ng baggage ko, na-check-in pa nila yung isa kong luggage bago sila nag-declare na cancel daw yung flight ko. Sobra stress. Stress po.
I-refund na lang namin kasi 3 araw lang sana kami doon eh. Babalik din kami ng 31 eh. Kung parirebook namin bukas, puno naman daw uli yung flight bukas. Baka hindi rin kami ma-schedule.
Francisco says they are coordinating with airline companies to assist stranded passengers.
We have passenger holding area on the other side. Usually, ang mga kinikita namin nga within 48 hours to 5. Pero as much as possible, in more than 48 hours, request namin baka pwede bumalik muna sa mga bahay. So yung mga ibang ganyan, kapag dito nag-i-stay, so we provide them massage kits, and we request an airline kung pwede i-provide sila ng mga food. So dito secure naman yung area namin.
The Manila International Airport Authority advises passengers to arrive at the airport 3 hours before departure time and to coordinate closely with airline companies. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God. The Mactan Cebu International Airport, or MCIA, is now back to its normal operations. The runway, however, has not yet been cleared of the Korean airplane that overshot on October 23 and caused the airport to temporarily close. Julius Neri Jr., MCIA General Manager, stated that it is still unclear when the plane will be taken off of runway 4. Still, passengers were advised to coordinate with the airline companies for their flights.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin hints that the world will face the most dangerous decade since World War II. Mavi Delphine will tell us why live. Mavi?
Giona, President Vladimir Putin has called out the Western leaders, accusing them of provoking war and nuclear tensions. This after former British Prime Minister Liz Truss threatened to use their nuclear weapons if needed. Allegations were also made by Putin that Ukraine might be planning to strike Moscow with a radioactive bomb as part of its ongoing war with Russia. With all the threats made by the West, Putin said that the Russian military do not plan to respond with its own nuclear weapons. He also added that the military's doctrine is to be defensive, and he has no desires into bringing the world into a nuclear war before an agreement is achieved. Putin interpreted these threats as the beginning of the West's decline of dominance over world affairs, and that the West are afraid of rising powers in Asia like China. He believes that the West is putting the world in a dangerous position by putting their power on the line between their conflicts. Lastly, he mentioned that eventually the West and other major leaders will have to start negotiation about the future of the world. Giona?
Thank you, Mavi, for that live report. A spokesperson in number 10 Downing Street confirmed that the new UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak will be skipping the annual climate change summit just a few weeks before the event takes place in Egypt. The opposing parties and environmentalist groups have criticised this decision and accused Prime Minister Sunak of not taking climate change issues seriously enough. From London, United Kingdom, here's Anna Lima to tell us the details live. Yes, Anna?
Jonah, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has been accused of a failure of leadership by opposing parties, while other environmental groups criticise the present UK government was not taking climate crisis seriously enough. This comes after Number 10 Downing Street announced that the new UK Premier will be skipping the COP27, which will be held on November 6 to 18 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, due to other pressing domestic commitments. The UK hosted the COP26 in Glasgow last year, where former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Mr. Sunak, when he was the British Chancellor at the time, attended the conference. The Prime Minister's predecessor, Liz Truss, had been expected to attend the Climate Change Summit. Earlier this month, the Buckingham Palace also confirmed King Charles III will not be attending the COP27. Although outgoing COP26 President Alok Sharma and other ministers are expected to represent the UK in this year's climate change gathering, world leaders and COP27 organizers believe that the attendance of the new UK Premier and new monarch will create a big impact, as they are regarded as the key driving force and major political figures in tackling climate change crisis by achieving the targets of keeping the global rise in temperature below 1.5 degrees Celsius and attain net zero carbon emissions. Jonah?
Thank you, Anna, for that live report. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Pauline.
Thank you, Giona. President Bongbong Marcos issued Executive Order 7, which allows for the voluntary use of face masks indoors while maintaining the existing policy of voluntary face mask use outside. The EU also reiterates the continued implementation of minimum health standards during the state of public health emergency. Wearing of masks shall be voluntary, except in healthcare facilities, medical transport vehicles, and public transportation. The elderly, individuals with comorbidities, pregnant women, and unvaccinated and symptomatic individuals are still encouraged to wear face masks. The EO shall take effect immediately upon its publication in the official gazette or in a newspaper of general circulation. The Health Department affirms local government units' mandate on face mask use in cemeteries aligns with national policy. This as Manila City government, among others, implements no face mask, no entry policy in cemeteries. Asher Kadapan Jr. explains why.
Voluntary wearing of face masks in outdoor settings is only allowed in areas with low risk against COVID-19 infection. But as overcrowding is expected in cemeteries during the long holiday, several LGUs mandates face mask use during the occasion. The Department of Health on their part says the LGU have the prerogative to implement such, as it also agrees with the national policy.
Ang policy natin for voluntary use of mask outdoors would be we will be voluntarily removing our mask outdoors in low-risk settings and among low-risk individuals. Kapag ka ang isang lugar na nasa labas kayo ay nakita nating puno ng tao, which happens during undas, that means it's already high risk. And that is why our mayors are imposing this kind of mandate para sa mask dito sa darating na undas.
The DOH earlier stated that gatherings in cemeteries may lead to a super spreader event, especially if people will lessen the protection against the disease. The Manila Police District have started to stringently implement the mask policy. Manila City Mayor Hani Lacuna, however, says they will provide masks to those in need upon entry in cemeteries. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Philippine National Police Chief, Police General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. conducted an early inspection in a cemetery, bus terminal, seaport, and airport in Metro Manila. This is part of the security deployment for the expected influx of people this long holiday. Leia Ilagan tells us why.
Philippine National Police Chief, Police General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. is satisfied in the deployment of security in the Manila North Cemetery. General Azurin said, aside from the presence of the police outside the cemetery, there are police personnel patrolling inside as well.
Titingnan din po natin how orderly po yung pag-inspect ng ating mga kapulisan at saka yung pagpapatrolya po ng ating mga kapulisan. Dahil gaya po dito is napakalawak na sementeryo, so dapat ay nandoon po yung ating police presence, ay ikot-ikot po sila para anytime na may mga kailangan ng police assistance, at least nandun po ang ating mga kapulisan.
Azurin reminds everyone to refrain from bringing prohibited items like sharp or pointed objects. The chief PNP goes directly to Manila North Harbor for security inspection from Manila North Cemetery. Before going directly to Ninoy Aquino International Airport, the TAPCAP monitored deployment at Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange or PITX. General Azurin also inspected the Araneta Bus Terminal. He also reminded the police personnel to still implement health protocols.
Definitely po, we really need to observe yung mga health protocols na pinapatupad po ng ating IATF para lang sa ganun ay maiwasan po natin yung affectation ng COVID, kasi sa ngayon ay may mga cases pa rin po tayo ng mga affectations. Para sa ganun, ma-ensure po natin na hindi po dumami.
Azurin previously said that 85% of the entire police force will be deployed throughout the country this long holiday. Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Despite the threat posed by African swine fever or ASF in the nation, the Department of Agriculture ensures a sufficient supply of pork over the holiday season. Additionally, more Kadiwa stores will open in Metro Manila. Ray Pelayo explains why.
The Department of Agriculture will mobilize pork supply to the areas where it is most needed, especially during holiday season. Agriculture Assistant Secretary Cristina Evangelista said this is to balance the supply in areas where the demand is high, like in areas affected by the African swine fever. The official noted that DA is on the top of the situation in controlling the spread of the disease. Evangelista added, customers still prefer fresh pork. DA will also meet with the stakeholders to know if there is a need to impose a suggested retail price on pork.
Well, meron pong mga areas na tinamaan ng ASF, pero ito naman po ay ina-address ng ating mga regional field office together with the local government para po makontrol at hindi po mag-spread gaano, no?
ASEC Evangelista announced that they will open 70 Kadiwa stores in Metro Manila in addition to 42 operational outlets. This will provide consumers cheaper agricultural products compared with the prevailing prices in Metro Manila markets.
Sa Kadiwa po mas mura dahil ito po ay mga mula na sa ating mga farmer cooperatives and associations, at through Kadiwa sila po ay pwedeng magbenta diretso sa consumers.
Refined sugar priced at 70 pesos per kilogram is also available in the Central Office of DA and Sugar Regulatory Administration. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. hailed the gains made by the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict or NTF-LCAC and local government units in the fight against insurgency. Nelma Ribohok reports why.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. recognized the role of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict or NTF-LCAC in declaring the Davao region as insurgency-free. The president made this remark in a speech as he led the declaration of Davao as insurgency-free, as well as the relaunching of the region as a tourism and investment-ready destination.
In many ways, the program NTF-LCAC has been around for a long time in different forms. During the Vietnam War, it was called Doctrine of Hearts and Minds. Later on, it was still always referred to. Earlier than that, we used to call it in government civic action, that from the military.
The chief executive also praised the efforts of uniformed personnel in ensuring protection and security through various civic and military operations. Despite this, President Marcos said the country must take optimistic yet cautious steps to mind that the objective of achieving long-lasting peace and order in the region will not end with the declaration.
Moving forward, we take an optimistic but cautious step to mind that the goal of achieving long-lasting peace and order in the region cannot end just with this declaration. We will need to sustain it with a whole-of-nation approach to peace, the development to prevent terrorist and lawless elements from recruiting, regrouping, and regaining power over our countrymen.
The NTF-ELCAC is mandated to prioritize and streamline the delivery of basic services and social development assistance in conflict-affected areas and vulnerable communities. It is also tasked to facilitate societal inclusivity and ensure active participation of all sectors of society in the pursuit of the country's agenda. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Justice disclosed that authorities may file appropriate cases against individuals who may be involved in the killing of broadcaster Percy Lapid next week. Dante Amento tells us why.
The Justice Department disclosed that the investigation over the death of Percy Lapid is having progress. The NBI and PNP have an ongoing joint probe on the case.
The story is becoming a bit clearer, but of course, again, we have to be cautious.
4 persons of interest had already undergone questioning.
Yesterday, we conducted an investigation on the 4 PDLs that we had transferred from the New Bilibid prison to the NBI's custody. They were able to give their statements. There was a question and answer portion also, but we formalized it into judicial affidavits already.
DOJ Secretary Crispin Rimulya, on the other hand, said that cases may be filed over the Percy Lapid killing.
The proper cases can be filed by the end of next week.
On the question whether the mastermind had been identified, Rimulya responded,
Very possible. It's very possible. We have to evaluate everything.
Meanwhile, the results of the second autopsy on the remains of June Globa Villamor will be released tomorrow. Villamor is one of the alleged middlemen in the Percy Lapid slay case. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The rollout of Chinese biopharmaceutical company CanSino Biologics' inhalable COVID-19 vaccine approved last month has begun in China. Jane Robles will tell us the details live. Jane?
Diona, people in Shanghai began to receive their COVID-19 booster through inhalation. Named as Convidencia Air, it is the world's first ever inhalable COVID-19 vaccine. To administer the vaccine, it is first sprayed into a sealed cup and then by deeply inhaling through a small nozzle. From there, the vaccine can enter the body, killing off the virus before entering the respiratory system. After inhaling all of the vaccine, people must hold their breath for around 5 seconds. According to CanSino Biologics, compared to intramuscular vaccines, the vaccine 1/5 of the normal dosage, which is effective enough to stimulate the natural infection of COVID-19. While there are no vaccine mandates in China, CanSino Biologics are currently providing the inhalable vaccine to those aged over 18 who have been vaccinated with the Convidencia vaccine. Meanwhile, with the ease of administering the vaccines through inhalation, they say that it may help inoculate poorer countries who have not yet been vaccinated or people who do not like needles. Back to you, Diona.
Thank you, Jane, for that live report. Studies by US researchers found that the new COVID boosters is not better as the original vaccine formula when it comes to countering Omicron variants. Beverly Saizon will tell us why.
Scientists from various research institutions, including Columbia University in New York and Harvard University in Massachusetts, conducted a study about the updated COVID-19 booster shots, saying that they may not be as good in countering the BA.4 and BA.5 Omicron subvariants compared to the original vaccine formula. The studies were done separately. Each were analyzed from small groups. 21 people participated in the Columbia study, while 18 from Harvard. They compared people who received the new boosters to those who received the old vaccine fourth dose shot. A better antibody response were not produced in humans than the first-generation vaccines. Both of these studies, however, did not undergo peer review by others in the similar field, and the results are described as preliminary. However, health experts still believe that the vaccine doses offer substantial protection among adults, as they are still formulated to protect against recent circulation of COVID-19 variants. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, also continues to campaign to Americans, particularly everyone ages 5 and above, to get the updated bivalent COVID-19 booster if it has been at least 2 months since the last booster or final primary. Based on their recent data, about 19.4 million people already received an updated booster dose. All of these comes as experts are worried about the upcoming winter season in the country, not only because of COVID, but also the threat of influenza and of respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV. One cause of this is the relaxation of COVID precautions, including masking and social distancing. According to CDC, about 260,000 new cases is the weekly total in the United States for COVID-19. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Giona Pravado, live from London, United Kingdom. Good evening.
The Department of Health assures that the reported India-made cough syrups is not available in the Philippine market. This is after hundreds of children were recently affected in Indonesia due to the said medicine. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
Any medicine sold in legitimate market in the Philippines goes through a process under the Food and Drug Administration. This is to ensure that medicines are safe and efficient for those who need it. But for imported ones, the agency specifically inspects the good manufacturing practice of every manufacturer. The Department of Health clarifies this after 100 children in Indonesia died, while over 200 more were affected due to a cough syrup allegedly made from India.
Wala po tayong rehistrado na ganitong klaseng gamot o kahit anong klaseng gamot galing sa manufacturer na nabanggit dito sa mga articles na to.
With this, the DOH reminds the public to buy medicine only in verified and legitimate drugstores registered in FDA. Consumers should also make sure the medicines are likewise registered in the said agency.
In that way, masisiguro nyo na yung binibili nyong gamot ay merong quality or may dekalidad at saka ito'y magiging ligtas at ito'y magiging epektibo para dun sa sakit na meron kayo.
Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Some classrooms in earthquake-hit areas in Abra are declared unfit for learners. JP Nunez will tell us why.
Cracks and damages at Pulot National High School in Lagayan, Abra had been aggravated after the 6.4 magnitude earthquake hit the province. According to its principal, the 3-story buildings had been damaged by the magnitude 7 earthquake in July. It was supposed to be repaired, but due to the damages it acquired last Tuesday, authorities declared the building as unfit for learners and need to undergo rehabilitation.
We are advised by the LGU, regional office, and even central office that these buildings are not safe anymore for our learners in the delivery of quality education.
According to school principal Apolinar, they have nearly 400 students which are expected to return to full face-to-face classes this November 2. They plan to accommodate their students on classrooms at their one-story buildings which are not affected by the earthquake. The Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office of Abra said they continue to evaluate school buildings in the province that cannot be used anymore. In their initial report, there are 58 damaged classrooms reported in the province from the previous earthquake. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Kasangbahay. As the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity. From Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time, through the social media accounts of Members Church of God International. Before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 33, it says, "Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners." Behind the news, October 28, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. We serve the people, we give glory to God.